Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Poor Man's Mixing and Mastering Lounge. This week we're going to talk about 5 plugins nobody should go without. A lot of times I'll be in there mixing and I'll have my levels are kind of creeping up and I wonder how loud this thing really is getting. And I want to leave myself a little bit of extra headroom so that when it's mixed, it still has some headroom in it for mastering. You get in that critical stage where the mix is getting kind of dense. You don't know if you should pull all the faders back a little bit. If I'm trying to rely on the stock metering that comes with Pro Tools, or even the metering that comes on some high-end mastering plugins, say for instance the Fab Filter Pro L or the Slate FGX mastering plugin. A lot of times I'm trying to rely on that to give me accurate RMS levels, and it kind of throws me off. So I found one that I personally like. I think I'm getting really good close results on this one. It's from T-Rax. It's the free one that comes with their custom shop. I like this. It's deceptively simple. At a glance you can see everything you need to see. I'm assuming everybody is using a peak limiter on their master fader. Maybe not. I usually do. So the peak level I don't really have to keep an eye on too much, but I do have to know where my RMS level is and where my LUFS perceived loudness is. Top 2 rows are left and right peak levels, and you can see the ballistics are set to where it's instantaneous. The bottom is the RMS, and it's weighted so that the recovery time is slow. It gives you an indication over 5 to 10 seconds what your average level is. You go to a denser part of the song. So there, on the densest part of the song. So my LUFS is getting up here into -8. RMS is around -10. Which is cool. Here you have a phase scope and a correlation meter. Which, if you've got a lot of effects going on, you might have a lot of out of phase information in your mix. This is going to tell you whether the whole mix is over the top, out of phase. If it's to the right, you're cool. If it's to the left, you're not cool. If you've got most of your information on this vertical axis here, you're cool. If you've got a lot of content out here on the left and right, it's going to be very ambient. You might have a lot of phase cancellations. You can adjust the settings here. If I go to the analyzer, and let's say I want to slow the analyzer down. So I think that's a very cool tool. Number 2 on the list is from Isotope. It's called the Ozone Imager. There are times when you want to get a super atmospheric wraparound stereo field, like if you're doing gaming or sound design or something for a movie soundtrack. And the Isotope Ozone Imager is a real simple tool that works perfectly for this. I like simple plugins. I like plugins that I don't have to get 20 minutes invested in it to decide whether I'm going to use it or not, because then at that point I'm committed to it and I may be fooling myself as to whether it's enhancing anything. If I can pull up a plugin and use it, decide to use it or not within a second or two, then I know I'm getting better results quicker for my customers. This is one of those plugins. It's real simple. It's got a width knob and a stereoize knob. I think it's one of the better stereo enhancers. Sometimes my customers want me to put together a quick mix. They'll come in with a music track pre-recorded and lay down 10 vocal tracks and then give me 15 minutes to try to mix it and get out of here with something that, I'm not going to be embarrassed of, which is a pretty tall order. But so when I put a compressor on a track, I don't have a lot of time to fiddle with it and go back and readjust input and output and threshold and ratio and all that. So I use the BF76 a lot. I've kind of grown out of it. The MJUC Junior is my new favorite go-to compressor. It's real transparent. When you do hear it working, it doesn't do anything bad. And it's one of those you can put in there. and trust that it's going to be doing its job without having to go back and revisit it a lot. This is a free compressor by Klinghelm, and I really like it. I think it's kind of like an LA2A emulation. It's kind of hard to fool me. I've used this LA2A that's in my rack for close to 30 years now, and I know what it sounds like. So when I'm messing with, you know, the Waves CLA2, and I put it in there and I'm like, this thing does not sound like my LA2A at all. However, this one I think sounds closer to a real LA2A. I think one of the reasons why the LA2A became a very popular compressor over the years on vocal chain is it's kind of set it and forget it. You have two knobs. It's really transparent. Go to a part of the song, it's a little denser. Has a lot of things happening, and set this to auto. It's good to have a variety of tools that you can reach for when you're searching for the right effect. Sometimes you might want to get a little bit more saturation or a little bit more aggression in a track. This next one is handy to have around. You might want to give it a try. I can already tell what people are going to say because this one looks so cheesy, but it does sound really good. It's by a small company called Shattered Glass Audio, and I think a lot of these small developers, they don't have big budgets to pay graphics teams to make their interfaces look really slick. It's an emulation of a red console, which I think was an Abbey Road or EMI desk. It was used on a lot of Beatles stuff, and they used to daisy chain a couple of these together and crank up the inputs just to get this cool distortion that it has. I'm using it here to make the vocal more aggressive.
I saw you in the garden. You brought your emotion. I say you with the sword. And put your ass away.
This is bypassed.
I saw you in the garden. You brought your emotion.
Most of you have probably had the experience where you've been working on a mix for hours, you think you got it just right, you checked it on the big speakers, you checked it on the little speakers, you checked it on the headphones, you checked it on the earbuds, you're sold on it, you take it out to your car and you play it, and it's just not right. There's something either too much or too little in the low end, you can't hear the kick drum, you can't hear the bass. That's the time when you need to have an analyzer to take a look at what's happening. All right, so coming in at number 5 is the Blue Cat Freak Analyst. And what I really like about this thing is you can change a lot of the parameters. You can change the precision level.
I need a ride down to Nashville,
you can change the attack and release time.
I wrote a song, gonna take my chance. When you hear it on the radio, you're gonna
the peak
get
reset
up and
time.
dance. We're gonna sit by the campfire and have some fun. Play a little guitar and sing some.
You go for a lower precision. You can see there's quite a bit of low content. You crank the precision up, and now you can see.
Hey driver, can you help me please? I need a ride down to Nashville,
You can see where the peaks are if you wanted to go in and do some surgical EQ. So anyway, this thing's pretty good. It's pretty robust for a free plugin. So that wraps up this week's segment of the Poor Man's Mixing and Mastering Lounge. I hope you take the time to download some of those plugins. They're really handy to have around.